Man, the diddler is apparently having a very tough time in jail, okay? P. Diddy, aka the diddler, we all know recently. Let me turn my light on real quick. All right. P. Diddy, the diddler, he recently was charged with a number of crimes related to his freak off behaviors. Okay. He ended up beating the biggest charges. He beat the RICO charges, but he ended up getting caught up under the Mann Act for basically flying, you know, S workers all around the world to engage in his freak offs, and basically he's ended up getting sentenced to around 4 or 5 years or so. Okay, so he's going to be sat down for a good while. Okay, and it sounds like he is actually under a lot of pressure inside. The news has just come out. Okay, this is in TMZ. Diddy's throat was nearly slit in prison when he was attacked by somebody with a shank. Okay, it says one of Diddy's close friends is speaking out about the terrifying moment that the mogul woke up in prison with a knife pressed to his throat. Charlucci Finney says the attack went down during one of the nights that Diddy was sleeping at MDC Brooklyn, an incident that first came to light during Diddy's sentencing. Sources familiar with the situation have confirmed its authenticity to us, and that's the MDC Brooklyn where Diddy is going to be calling home for at least a couple years. Finney told Daily Mail that his friend woke up with the weapon to his neck, just seconds away from serious harm or death. He says that he doesn't know if the guards came to break it up or if Diddy fought the guy off, but sources familiar with the situation confirm details to TMZ. Finney imagines the inmate's intent was to intimidate Diddy, particularly in a notorious facility like MDC Brooklyn. He added that prison just isn't a safe place for anyone convicted in a case related to S, and he's worried about Diddy's safety. Diddy's lawyer Brian Steele first mentioned the incident during the sentencing hearing, telling the judge that it was a guard who stopped the shiv-wielding inmate. As you know, Diddy was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison after a jury convicted him of 2 counts of violating the Mann Act, and he was acquitted on the more serious charges of S trafficking and racketeering. And even more interesting, okay, they basically broke the story. Okay, so this is another story that they covered previously about him nearly being shanked up. Okay, and this is basically when his defense lawyer Brian Steele basically said that he was attacked with a makeshift knife inside the Brooklyn jail, and basically Brian Steele said Diddy has a target on his back at MDC Brooklyn because there's certain people who would gain prestige if they harmed him, and he said that really a guard at the jail had to try and stop what was going on. Okay, and in response to this, okay, basically there have been claims made that Diddy is actually begging Donald Trump to try and get pardoned. Okay, basically this was promoted. Okay, TMZ are standing by the story after White House denied it. Okay, Trump considering commuting Diddy's sentence possibly this week. So it was reported, okay, that Donald Trump is actually considering commuting Diddy's sentence as early as this week, according to a high-ranking White House official. According to our source, the president is vacillating on a commutation, and we're told some of the White House staff are urging Trump not to commute the sentence. But TMZ's source states the obvious: Trump will do whatever he wants, and we're told Trump could set Diddy free as early as this week. Okay, Trump previously commuted the sentence of former Congressman George Santos last Friday. Okay, so he's putting in work, all right. But the White House actually did deny this. White House official pushes back on the report that Trump is considering pardoning Sean Diddy Combs. TMZ reported on Monday that Trump was vacillating on a commutation for the music mogul, citing a high-ranking White House official, but they have clapped back and they've denied it. Okay, a White House official on Tuesday pushed back on a report that President Donald Trump is considering commuting Sean Diddy Combs' prison sentence as soon as this week. TMZ reported it Monday, but the White House official clapped back and said there is zero truth to the TMZ report, which we would have gladly explained had they reached out before running their fake news. The official told NBC News in a statement the president nor anonymous sources is the final decider on pardons or commutations. But a spokesperson for TMZ said in a brief statement, "We stand by our story." Lawyers for Diddy didn't immediately return a request for comment about the disparity between the White House statement and TMZ's reporting. However, Combs' lawyers have previously told NBC News that they would be pursuing a pardon for their client. Okay, now look, this is crazy news because I'm honestly, like, I'm not surprised to hear this. Like, I have no doubt that there were probably people in there that would want to hurt the diddler. There were probably people in there that maybe want to get some clout. Maybe there's some people in there. I mean, we saw what happened to Ian Watkins. Maybe there are some people that feel like crimes against women are not cool and they're trying to get back. All right, the drill rapper Broad Day Ye ended up murdering, allegedly, a convicted PDF file, Ian Watkins, who was a pretty disgusting, depraved individual, and a lot of people were celebrating it. And they were bigging it up, and they were saying that it's great. Okay, but let's see what some people are saying. Okay, this was reposted in Atlantology. It said, Diddy is not good in the feds. He on the wall right now. Eat ya, beat ya. Okay, and people saying this dude is in a real life nightmare. They're saying, damn, it's hard in there for a pimp. Other people saying, no way is this true. Nobody's bold enough to touch Diddy. Let's put it into perspective. Diddy has more power in the streets than MS like Big Meech. People saying, I wonder why, but it's real. Some people are saying free Diddy. I definitely can't condone any freeing of the diddler that's being promoted or being pushed. But yeah, I'm having a little problem. Like my mouse is just frozen. I can't even move around. Hang on a sec. So Diddy has apparently even been requesting to serve his sentence in a more safe prison in New Jersey. Apparently, he has been doing his best to basically find his way to a more secure facility where he can be looked after. Okay, this is a Vibe article that's been going around. It says Diddy has been denied his request to serve his sentence in a New Jersey prison. Puff had hoped to enroll in an intensive drug treatment program and have maximum family visitation. Diddy's trial may have worked out in his favor, but he still can't get everything he wants, as the 55-year-old's request to serve his sentence in a New Jersey prison has been denied. The controversial mogul hoped to be booked into FCI Fort Dix for his 50-month sentence to benefit from their drug rehab program and maximize how often his family could visit for him. But unfortunately, the requests so specific are not granted under those circumstances. The court will recommend a facility in the geographic location of the defense's choosing, but not the specific facility which is determined by the Bureau of Prisons, the judge wrote in his ruling on Wednesday, and basically said that Puff will be booked into a facility in the New York metropolitan area and is considered for the residential drug abuse program. Okay? And basically, it's been said that the feds are even keeping hold of Diddy's Ibiza tapes and the devices used in the sick freak-off sessions. But I think this New Jersey prison is an interesting angle, okay? So they're saying Diddy really wants to just go and serve his time at the same low-security prison that housed Farmer Bro and the influencer Hush Puppy, who was the top scammer of the year. But people are saying, we don't care about what Diddy wants. Don't give a shoot what Diddy wants, okay? But he really wants to get to this Fort Dix facility so that he can just chill out. You know, this is where Martin Shkreli was locked up. Apparently it was calm, club fed. People say that sort of thing. And basically, yeah, he was requesting to be there, but they weren't having it, okay? And this was all part of a dramatic 6-hour hearing that included emotional pleas for a lenient sentence from his 6 adult children and the mogul himself. Diddy's attorneys repeatedly suggested their client was a changed man who should be getting mental health treatment and be enrolled in domestic violence and substance abuse programs. So Fort Dix is the largest single federal prison in the United States, housing 4,100 men. The Federal Correctional Institution houses 3,800 inmates, while the minimum security satellite camp next door holds only 200 inmates in probably much more relaxed circumstances. It's located at the Joint Base McGuire-Dix-Latehurst, just 75 miles outside of New York City. It's a low-security prison, meaning it has double-fenced perimeters, mostly dormitory or cubicle-style housing, and a strong work and program components, okay? And essentially, if he was granted this, that means he'll have a variety of food options. The commissary offers pork rinds, plantain chips, Doritos, Reese's peanut butter cups, and even octopus, bro. You can get your calamari on in there, and you know Diddy would be loving that. And other high-profile inmates that have done time at Fort Dix include Martin Shkreli, dubbed the Farmer Bro, who got 7 years in prison for securities fraud and conspiracy and related to raising the price of the HIV medication. Also, Ray Hush Puppy, Raymond Oloranua Abbas, who was sentenced to 135 months, more than 11 years in 2022 for money laundering and online scams. Also, Giuseppe Joe Guidis, who appeared on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. He got 41 months in 2014 on fraud charges for failing to file a tax return. Kwame Kilpatrick, the former mayor of Detroit and former Michigan state representative, who was in 2013 sentenced to 28 years for racketeering conspiracy, extortion, bribery, and fraud charges. Joe Gainham, the former mayor of Bridgeport, Connecticut, was also sentenced in 2003 to 9 years for charges of racketeering conspiracy, extortion, and mail fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. And even Stephen Hoffenberg, Jeffrey Epstein's mentor, was sentenced to 20 years in 97 for a Ponzi that defrauded thousands of investors out of $460 million. So this is the FCI Fort Dix Wikipedia page, and there's some pretty interesting information on here. It's the largest federal prison in the US. It's divided into 3 compounds, both low-level and a camp in between the two. And what's really interesting is there was apparently an identity theft ring that was running from the prison. Okay, they found DeMario McDowell and 8 co-conspirators with McDowell communicated with via telephone who were also arrested. They were targeting credit cards and issued by major chain stores like Macy's and Saks Fifth, Staples, Home Depot, Lowe's, and others. And they basically obtained personal information of credit card holders through customer service departments and put themselves on as authorized users. And when McDowell's co-conspirators went to make purchases, they used fake IDs and provided the last 4 digits of the the cardholder's social security and bought high-end items like John Deere tractors, big screen TVs, snowblowers, and stoves. And apparently this fraud lost around $500,000 to $1 million. He pled guilty, but that just goes to show you how loose this prison is. You got dudes running $1 million fraud rings from inside there. And there's a few other interesting people that are inside there, man. Now, this is super interesting, okay? Some of the high-profile inmates that are in there, okay, is Christopher Koch, the leader of the Jamaican gang, the Shower Posse, man. I'm a Shower Posse, man, them. That's actually crazy, man. I didn't even know this guy's story. He was actually the leader of the Shower Posse. If you want to know what the Shower Posse is about, showering your ops with bullets, bro. So that's a serious guy. I didn't even know the big shower was in there, man. That's crazy. Obviously, Martin Shkreli, another person, Matthew Guglielmetti Jr. So he serves 10 years there. He was reportedly the New England crime boss of the Patriarca crime family. I didn't even know they had mafias out in New England, man, but he pled guilty to drug trafficking charges. Another infamous drug trafficker that was in this more relaxed prison, George Young. He did 19 years there. He was a drug trafficker and former partner of Carlos Leder and directed the shipments of thousands of tons of narcotics into the US. And he pled guilty. And the film Blow with Johnny Depp was actually based on George Young's life. So that's pretty crazy. A lot of politicians have been in there. Kwame Kilpatrick, former mayor of Detroit. We already touched on that. A lot of really interesting people. A bunch of fraudsters in there as well. Martin Frankel, he basically had caught a case for racketeering and fraud, siphoning over $200 million from insurance premiums paid to companies that he controlled in the 90s, okay? So a bunch of just crazy successful people in here. Obviously, you got Hush Puppy there. He did his thing, you know what I'm saying? Big scammer. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. They're saying Casanova is actually in there, man. Casanova is up in this relaxed jail, apparently, you know. He obviously got racketeering and narcotics offenses, but he was killing it, man. You know, Big Ape Casanova, man. You know, banging on my chest, all of that stuff, man. He was really gang banging out there. A lot of CP charges. We don't want to look too far into those. But there were a bunch of other people that have been serving time at this relaxed jail. But it doesn't seem like P. Diddy will be joining the ranks of these fools. Okay, it doesn't really bring me pleasure to hear that P. Diddy's been attacked with a shank in prison. Okay, that's kind of the breaks. Like, you commit heinous crimes against individuals, make them do things they don't want to do and violate the laws of the land. You have to go and get busy and sit down with a bunch of people who are also violating the laws. And if the laws say that they can't put a knife to your throat while they're sleeping, well, hey, them's are the breaks, because the law also said that you can't fly workers all around the world, and you still did it anyway. So these are the breaks. Unfortunately, Diddy's going to have to just deal with the hand that he was dealt. But anyway, I'll keep you guys updated if we hear anything more about Diddy. It doesn't sound like that pardon is going to land. I think Donald Trump ain't really trying to get the bad PR from freeing up Diddy when it is not really necessary right now. So I'll keep you guys updated if I hear anything else, but appreciate you tapping in with this video. Check out the other content I dropped today. I've done 6 videos for you guys today. I'm out of control with the videos, okay? I've got more coming for you tomorrow, and I'm very excited. We're going to have some very interesting real life. I'm going to do some IRL streaming soon. We've got some more streams coming up. We've got some collabs coming up. So we are cooking a lot of stuff behind the scenes, man. So stay tapped in. I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you in the next vid. I'm out, gang. Peace.